tough time. People, love you back. The people are struggling in the midst of an economy that George Bush says is not a recession, but that is experienced differently by folks on the ground. You know, people are working harder just to get by. They have never paid more for gas at the pump, never paid more for college education, never paid more for health care. We've got 47 million people who don't have health insurance, but those who have it have seen their co-payments and deductibles and premiums go up and up and up. Despite the slogans, we've got millions of children who are being left behind in underfunded schools. They're dropping out, unable to compete in the international economy. Jobs are being shipped out, particularly in manufacturing, and so you've got people who've worked 20, 30 years in a plant, and suddenly they see the equipment being unbolted and shipped to China or Mexico, and suddenly they don't have a job, but they also don't have health care, they don't have a pension. They're trying to figure out how to make a living on $7 an hour working at the local Walmart or the local fast food joint. And so what I've said in this campaign is that we can't afford to wait. We can't afford to wait to fix our health care system. We can't wait to fix our schools. We can't wait to invest in making America more competitive. We can't wait to solve our energy crisis, and we cannot wait to bring this war in Iraq to a close. We cannot wait. You know, the news on our economy has not been getting better, it's been getting worse. We've been getting a steady stream of bad news about our economy. The dollar keeps falling. Oil has hit $102 a barrel. The Fed chairman has made rate cut after rate cut, and one could be on the way very soon, but it doesn't seem to have had as much of an impact as we would have hoped. The anxiety is not just confined to those who are nervously watching the stock market tickers or scan the headlines of the financial section. It's one that I've seen on the faces of hardworking Americans all across Texas and all across the country. People who've been anxious about the economy long before the news hit Wall Street. I've seen it in the face of the young woman who told me she only gets 3 hours sleep a night because she goes to school full-time. She doesn't have enough money to be able to do it without working, so she has to work the night shift at Federal Express. She gets to bed at 10, has to get up at 1 to go to work, taking parcels out to airplanes, while she's taking care of a sister who's got cerebral palsy, and she's still trying to figure out how to make sure that she can get all the medical care for her sister that she needs. 3 hours sleep every single night. I've seen these anxieties in the face of workers in Youngstown and wonder if their jobs and their plant will be the next to head overseas because of unfair trade agreements, agreements that have no protections for workers or the environment. I've seen it in the face of a couple that I met down in San Antonio. They've got 2-year-old twins who are legally blind. This woman was suckered into a predatory loan that doubled in 2 weeks. She's now worrying about foreclosure, and they're having to cut back on medicines that they need because they're worried about losing their home. We are not standing on the brink of a recession because of forces out of our control. I think that's very important to understand. This was not an inevitable part of the business cycle. It was a failure of leadership in Washington. A Washington where George Bush handed out billions of dollars of tax breaks to the wealthy few over the course of 7.5 years, and John McCain promises to make those same tax cuts permanent, embracing the central principles of Bush economic policy, but where the voices of workers and ordinary families are not heard. It's a Washington that's thrown its doors open to lobbyists and special interests who've riddled our tax code with loopholes that let corporations avoid paying their taxes while you're paying more. They've used money and influence to kill health care reform at a time when half of all bankruptcies are caused by medical bills. And then they've rigged our bankruptcy laws to make it harder to climb out of debt. I do not believe that these lobbyists represent ordinary Americans, which is why they don't fund my campaign, they will not run my White House, and they will not drown out the voices of the American people.